Unforgettable moments perfectly etched in sports history. The best of the best over the last 2 decades. Welcome back to 11 on the Last 20. I'm your host, Chad Landers. Thanks for tuning in to our latest countdown here on Blue Ridge 11. Today, we're looking back at the best sports moments from our coverage area that aired on Blue Ridge 11 over the past 20 years. Now, these are epic, historic moments, but the only caveat is that they had to be seen right here on the channel. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and see who made our list. Number 11. 2010 Cocalico Field Hockey State Finals appearance.
That team there was talented front to back.
2010 was pretty special. The expectations were somewhat high. We graduated 0 seniors. We had one in 09 who was injured and therefore wasn't able to play. So the group that led the 2010 season was technically, they were seniors for 2 years in a row. They were the group that led the program for 2 years. 2009 was also a difficult year.
A great honor was given to a member of the team's family.
My father was diagnosed with cancer right at the onset of the season. So he was a huge supporter of field hockey in general, but especially, of course, our team. Me coaching, my daughter playing. So the team watched my father basically decline in health and eventually pass just a few days after we lost in the first round of states in 2009. And I'm a firm believer that those kids watched something that was bigger than life. And they watched something that was bigger than sports. It was larger than them. And they experienced, watching a human being lose his life. They became very connected to my dad. We're a part of his memorial service, and I truly believe that that carried into our 2010 success. At that point in time, we had won 7 section titles in a row. We had gone undefeated for multiple seasons within our section, so no one wanted to be the group that lost that first game in the section. We had some close calls because of some complacency, but we maintained our section record. It was a very successful season.
Here's Page, shot high, back of the cage and in for the score.
Looking back, it was very successful. In the moment, it felt odd. We did not win a league title. We did not win a district title. In fact, we took the difficult road to state, which we tended to do year in and year out.
And then you get Emmaus in the state title game.
Another beautiful fall day in November in the Lehigh Valley as Emmaus will take on Cocalico for the right to be called the 2010 Field Hockey Class 3A champion in the state.
So not only are you pumped you're going to a state title game, first ever in Cocalico field hockey history, then you get Emmaus going up for their 10th state title, I think, at the time, and that team is 26-0. So it couldn't have been more intimidating, and that team just didn't care. They were going to come out and put on a show, and they did that for sure.
Taylor Kidwell, the junior, will look to put it in just the right spot. Does to Whitmer. Whitmer will wind and fire. Redirect. Goal! Cocalico's tied it.
Losing to Emmaus in the state final, it's not what you wanted. I told the kids when we rolled up on the bus, there's only 2 teams playing today and we're one of them. And that is a huge accomplishment in itself. And no matter what happens at the end of the day, we are winners and our season is successful.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Eagles of Cocalico High School, your PIAA state runner-ups.
For Cocalico, just in general in athletics, that was the first state title game ever in the history of girls sports at Cocalico. But not only that, that was the first state title game in Cocalico history in like 33 years. The previous state title would have been, I think, the 1977 boys basketball team, and that was it. And they won, but nobody had made an appearance since then. And here comes the 2010 team, and they truly earned that berth in that title game. When you look back at some of the post-game pictures from that game, even the medal ceremony, they're pumped, they're in the state title game, they're grateful, but they're all so upset that they lost. You can't teach that drive and that motivation. Yes, they were at a place where no field hockey player at Cocalico could ever say that they had been, but you knew that they wanted it deep down, and that silver medal to some degree wasn't quite good enough for them. And that really speaks to that team's tenacity and motivation.
I cannot be more proud of that group, what they did for the program, not just themselves. At the end of the day, when you get home and you have freshmen and freshman parents coming up to you and saying, oh my gosh, we want to be that team. We wanted, all of a sudden they're changing from soccer to field hockey. They've really bought into the sport. That's what it's all about.
A final round of applause for the Eagles of Cocalico High School.
Number 10, 2011 Manheim Central Softball State Finals appearance.
Well, the expectations kind of came off the year prior. We went into districts and we wanted to get a little bit of a feel for it, because we knew we had this team back for 2 more years coming, and we wanted to get, do a little bit of a run, but we actually ended up going against the first seed team. But we ended up losing to them in the bottom of the 8th and got a lot of experience through it and realized at that point, this group can be special.
Campbell is swinging 3-0, and she bounces one back up the middle, 3-0 Barons.
And so at that point, a couple days later, we got them together and said, all right, what's our expectations? What do you guys want to do? What's your goals? And they were all like, we want to go to states. Well, obviously there's a lot of little steps in between there, but we kind of went with the thought process of, it's when hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And we had the talent, but if it doesn't work hard, it's not going to get us anywhere. And that's when the mission kind of started.
Popped up, right center field. And it's going to fall in front of Hassinger for a base hit.
What a run they went on. And that was a team that you saw building. The amount of talent they had was just truly remarkable. But what really kind of stands out to me is you look back that season, and I think it was about halfway through the season, they clicked it into another gear.
Then at that point became 1 out, 1 hit, 1 game. That's how we roll.
Ginder with that great arm throws out Marinkoff without much of a problem.
I think the level of play in the Lancaster-Lebanon League really got them ready for a run in not only in districts but in states. When you play Donegal, LS, E-Town, these are all quality softball programs. And Manheim Central fared very well against them. And I just think that to really kind of be battle tested, it got them ready for the next level.
From University Park, the Pennsylvania Cable Network presents the PIAA Softball Championships. In today's 3A matchup, it is the Manheim Central Barons, the champions of District 3 at 26-4.
They went up and played a great game in that state championship game.
Sharply through the left side. Grizan being held no, she comes through at third, and she will score as she beats the throw by Piper.
And unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, but the team, had every reason to, hold their heads high, and it was just an exciting team to cover.
Well, you girls showed so much leadership. You had a young team around you, and you girls brought some young people and got them in a position to get that trophy.
This is a program on the rise, and to get to the state championship game, that's the pinnacle.
It was something you dream of. I mean, you had those goals, and but to actually achieve it, because the thing was we wanted to go to states and do damage. It wasn't we wanted to be a state champion, because you just don't know. And there's a lot of luck along that way too. The younger girls in the program the numbers started going up even more, because obviously they saw what was going up at the high school, and they wanted to be a part of it. Manheim's been one of the teams that everybody looks in their schedule and knows they're gonna be in for a tough one. The fact that we actually were going to have the opportunity to do that for the first time ever at Manheim Central, and softball-wise, it was really, really special.
Number 9, 2019 Manheim Central Wrestling League Championship.
That kind of situation might not be replicated in the rest of our time.
Welcome into the 25th annual Lancaster-Lebanon League Wrestling Championship. I remember Jan Minnick and I preparing and talking about what would happen that day there at the finals. 23 teams, over 210 wrestlers, all narrowed down to the top 28 in these championship finals. We always did it. We always covered it for Blue Ridge. And I remember talking to Jan. Northern Lebanon was so good and had won so many team titles over the years. And I always asked Jan his expert opinion, who do you think is going to take the team title here? And he was like, yeah, Northern Lebanon. But Manheim Central was there 10 points behind on Saturday. The first day was rough, of course, but 10 points behind, and Jan was just, well, they're there. And I said, wouldn't it be something if they had the guys? We knew they were good. We knew they could compete, but wouldn't that be something if they could do it? And Jan said, yeah, that'd be a moment.
We're so far behind that, I actually said to the kids the next day coming in, I was like, there's no chance we're winning this. It's over. And I looked at him and I said, and I don't mean that to sound negative. I mean that as a way to, it's now about you. There's no pressure. You're not wrestling for the team. You're not wrestling for this or that. You're wrestling for yourself. Just have fun.
And as those results started to come in after each championship bout, Jan and I would eyebrows raised, and there we go, ooh, Manheim Central is making some noise here. These guys are getting bonus points in the consolation bracket. And little by little, that light bulb starts to go off. Can they do this? And we started doing the math and what was needed. And then the guys that were actually winning championships for the Barons, Will Betancourt, of course, Cade Zemer took one, Keegan McCord, and then it all added up. And on the broadcast, if you rewatch it, I think it's really funny. You know, Jan and I, you can see the gears turning a little bit. Like, what do they need?
So Central's was in third. They just leapfrogged Penn Manor again. So 178.5.
So they need a tech, which is rare at heavyweight. I would say that they need a fall from Tyler Doherty to take home the team title, or else it goes to Northern Lebanon.
And then Jan would go off and find somebody and ask them, you know, what's the tally now? He'd come back and then would report. But then, so it all came down, 285 pounds.
And the drama elevates.
Heavyweight, Tyler Doherty from Mannheim Central Wrestling, Lampeter Strasburg, Zach Shelley.
A couple people came up to me, and even Coach Wallace comes up to me and goes, "You guys are gonna win this." And I look at him, it's like, no. And I pull him to the side before, and I was like, I was flat. I said, "Tyler, here's the deal." I said, "I have to tell you two things." I said, and I want you to understand, I'm telling you them in the order that I truly believe. First off, all right, this is your tournament, and I want you to go out there and I just want you to wrestle. I want you to have fun, right? And I want you to wrestle for yourself. However, being the coach, I have to tell you this. I said, please, this is not for pressure. This is just, I wouldn't be doing my duty if I at least don't make this known. I said, if you get into a position where you can pin the kid, right? That will win the league title for us. And so, but I told him, I was like, please understand, like, I'm putting this in the order that I truly believe. I was like, I just want you to wrestle your match. I just want you to go out there and win. He goes out. It was just something you could see, like, wait. He's got it in his mind that he's going for this, right? He knows, right, about, like, he's a football player. He knows about team, right? And he wants to win this for himself, but he wants to do it for the team. So they go back. He locks up a half, and he doesn't force it, right? He runs it slow. The minute he goes over, I look at my assistant like, this is actually gonna happen. Like, this is seriously gonna happen.
Oh, if he can turn him here, it's danger.
Oh, man.
This could be a team title winning move.
All he has to do is reload on it. Holy cow, he got it! Holy smokes, Brian!
And so he gets the pin.
Tyler
Doherty got the fall with a half Nelson. That might have done it. It might have earned Mannheim Central a team championship.
I think it did. Coach Chamberlain, smiles.
Our fans go nuts. He goes nuts. I go nuts. I'm jumping up and down. And it dawns on me, right? I look at my assistant coach afterwards. I was like, we were not leading the tournament until that point.
Those guys just went nuts.
Absolute euphoria from the Baron faithful. Yeah, I mean, and everybody was out of their seat, of course, and yeah, it was a pretty epic match. Something Tyler Doherty you'll never forget.
For him to be the one that did it, I thought just encapsulated our team mantra, right? Because we're a family, right? We live by the code of honor, discipline, family. Got to live honorably, got to be disciplined, but we are a family, right? And he's the one that picked us up at the end. He's the one that did it, and it's every family member matters. And I think he's just perfect person to encapsulate that.
So there's your Mannheim Magic, folks. Yeah. Tyler Doherty's used to that. Built a whole career on Mannheim Magic, on the gridiron, and now on the mat.
Our countdown is just beginning, but coming up next, we look back at the best sports moments from number 8 through number 6. It's all ahead on 11 of the last 20. Welcome back to 11 of the last 20. Next on our countdown is a moment that was a long time coming and lifted a huge weight off this program's shoulders that dated all the way back into the 1980s. Check it out. Number 8, 2019, Warwick football beats Mannheim Central for the first time since 1983.
The whistle sounds, ball game is over. Here in Linnitz, final score, Mannheim Central 30, Warwick 6.
So 35 years, long time for one team to dominate, and you talk about all the time that a rivalry really can't be one-sided. But this is the case where that's probably not true. These two schools are 5 miles apart. The kids know each other. They grew up playing against each other in every sport. But for whatever reason, Warwick could not get over that hump. You think back 35 years. So when they won last year, I'm a 50-year-old man. I was at that last Warwick win. I was a 14-year-old freshman in high school.
You know, there were a couple of close calls in that series. You know, there was a 21-20 game at Mannheim with the botched extra point.
Runners point after to tie it up. Oh, and Stoltz picks up the loose ball, and he's going to be dropped. Uh-oh, big play.
A 3-0 game where, you know, a field goal hit the crossbar and kind of toppled over. That was another close one. You know, and it was, you know, over these last couple of years, Warwick's had such a special group of players.
First, we thought at some point it was important for them to understand you weren't here for 35 years, you weren't here for the last 10 years, you've been here for the number of years you're part of a high school football program. Then I think if you look at the 3 or 4 years prior to that, you know, we had gotten close. But close doesn't win football games. Close is just a nice term for we're getting better. We knew we were getting better. We knew we would be a better football team, but close wasn't going to cut it. So it was a matter of getting them to both physically and mentally overcome the last obstacles, overcome those last hurdles, and finish what we were been able to finish before. That was how we viewed it.
We kind of had an inkling that if Warwick was finally going to beat Mannheim Central, and it had been since 1983, wow, that this might be the year. We kind of had that inkling, you know?
Obviously, I'm not around as much as I once was on the sideline, but I had been on the sideline for I don't even know how many Warwick Central games. To me, it felt like there was an elevated level of intensity all night long. You know, from that first whistle, the crowd noise was different. You know, this was, before it was kind of like the fans were hoping this was the year. This year, it was, this is the year. We know this.
Kraken sets, fires, it is caught and in for the touchdown. And it is Caleb Schmitz that finishes off the Warrior drive.
So if you can get them, as we think, well, obviously we did, to understand how close we were to being able to do this, then present them with a game plan and say like, hey, if we can do this, this, and this, then this is real. We're gonna go over here and win a football game. And I think that was the difference, is, you know, we put a game plan into place. Coach Smoker did a great job defensively scheming for what Mannheim Central had.
3rd and 6, Simon rolling left, floats it downfield, and it's intercepted.
And I think the biggest difference, you know, I don't want to jump around, but defensively, we just never strayed from the game plan, and we stayed solid throughout the entire first game.
Simon under pressure, and he's going to be sacked.
Offensively, we saw some things that we could take advantage of.
76 yards.
And we presented it to the players as though, listen, if you do this, this, and this, play a physical football game for 4 quarters, because that's always been something that catches us sometimes with them, is we can't seem to play a whole game. Do the following things, our chances are great. We'll see where we're at, and we'll just go play the game.
Everything went right for Warwick that night.
It will be Colton Miller, sidestep of Baron Tapler, and in for the touchdown.
That's just the way I remember it. It was a swarm, and they had them from the jump, and they never let Central up for air. And McCracken was great through the air, Miller on the ground, and good for those guys.
And the Warwick Warriors, for the first time since 1983, will have beaten the Mannheim Central Barons.
You know, they're 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. They had read a lot, but I'm not sure that they looked at it exactly the way somebody who went to Warwick 25 years ago looked at it. There were just an awful lot of people that were very glad for our kids. It was beating the guys 5 miles down the road. It was beating somebody that's won multiple district championships. It was beating somebody that's a really good football program, and letting us know that, you know, we are capable of great things this year. That's an example of what we can do.
And then they ended up winning the rematch. They played in districts a couple of months later in Mannheim, which is really tough to win over there. Barons are playing much better then. They're rolling. It's a district game in Mannheim. Warwick goes over there and beats them, buzzer beater field goal by Haynes.
Tanner Haynes for the win, and he's got it! Oh my! And the Warwick Warriors have advanced!
So don't beat them since 1983, and then they beat them twice in 2 months or whatever. So everything kind of went great for Warwick last year.
It was good for an awful lot of people. Community in particular, I was glad for them. I was glad for all the former Warwick football players. I had some context from people I really didn't even know. And, you know, I hadn't been there all 35 years, but I had my fair share of losses as a head coach at Warwick against Central, and it was good to get it done, quite honestly.
That is a huge win for Warwick in more ways than one.
Number 7, 2003, Ephrata Baseball League Championship.
And good evening from the War in Ephrata. It is high school baseball here on Cable 11.
When we started the year, the mantra was believe, and it was we had this kind of abstract belief in being able to accomplish something that hadn't been done in a long time. In 11 years, 91, 92, they won a section title. That was the only LL section titles that had been won. So I really was pinning a lot of expectation on our coaching staff.
It's out there, take it the other way, go with the pitch. Hey, patience up there, right? Sit back, drive the ball.
On this breakthrough, and all sights were on being the best team in Section 2.
Drive into left center field. Going back is Harris, looking up, and it is gone.
What we didn't realize is how well we prepared for not just being the best team in Section 2, but being one of the best teams in the league that year.
Boy, he hammered that bail.
We started the season off 0-2. Before we won 9 in a row, when we reached league play, we really started playing well.
3-2 pitch, lined into left center field. Harris going back. He's not going to get it. That one is gone. Wow.
So when we entered the league playoffs, it's funny, when we won the section, we did it over at Elizabethtown with games to spare. And I was expecting a big on-field celebration, some type of a dog pile. And the players kind of didn't know really what to do. I was the only one, I think, and our coaches were the ones who were kind of outwardly celebrating more than the players. And I'll never forget it. After the game, I said to them, well, congratulations, you won the first section championship since 92. We're going to the LL playoffs for the first time in a long time, and we're gonna have to practice dogpiling if we're gonna do any damage there.
To get to the league playoffs, had a tough first round match with Lancaster Catholic. Then in the semifinals, Ross is on the hill and looks like the dominant #1 pitcher that he was, and just shut him down. I think it was a 6-7-0 win. So get to that league finals.
It's title night on Cable 11, Lancaster Lebanon League Boys Baseball Championship.
Then we got #2, Nick Klingen on the hill.
And Klingen has a sparkling ERA of 1.43 there. You see it's 6-1 on the season.
And he just comes out and pitches an unbelievable game. We come out in the first inning, and kind of in typical Ephrata fashion, first two guys get on walks. Next guy gets on an error. So you get bases loaded, no outs with no hits. Get a ground ball to first, scores the first run. Our senior catcher, Nick Crowther, comes up, base hit through past the shortstop, 2 more runs score.
It's a big hit by Nick Crowther.
2 out, 2-run single.
That's it. 3 runs in the first inning. And then it's up to Nick Klingen and the defense to come through. And you hear championships are won on pitching and defense, and this was certainly the case.
And Hagee over to first base to Ross Buckwater. Nice turn of the double play.
And boom, that quick, game over.
Klingen, set, delivered, fastball,
There's the ball game.
And Ephrata is the Lancaster Lebanon League champions.
Dogpile was fantastic. Not only did we have this tremendous dogpile afterwards, but we had a great student section that year, and some students with some tremendous forethought had planned fireworks. And when the dog pile was occurring, there were fireworks. It was like a scene out of The Natural. It was surreal. I still think about the magic of that particular evening. So, seen a lot of dog piles in my time, fortunately. But that one's crystallized in time for me.
Look, we've had lots of championships throughout our teams at Blue Ridge. We've had state and district titles and many league titles. Why this league title made it onto the list is because it really catapulted Ephrata into a different level of play in the Lancaster Lebanon League. They really elevated themselves, and for Ephrata, it all started that night. And the Mount said, here we are, we're here to stay. And that has shown through the last 17 years of being a dominant program.
Number 6. 2010, Sam Durr, perfect game versus Mannheim Central.
So at this point, I think everyone knows the legend of Sam Durr, and especially this spring, we've certainly highlighted her enough, and she deserves everything that is said about her.
I just remember being very anxious to see Sam Durr.
One of the big stories for them coming back this year is their pitcher, all everything, Sam Durr.
Because I had heard all about her. And I was just very anxious to see this kid pitch. And in the game we're talking about, that's the first time I saw her live. And when you go to like a softball game or a baseball game, you don't think you're going to show up and see a perfect game or a no-hitter or even like a grand slam. You just don't think that's going to happen.
It was a non-league game, but it was against Mannheim Central, which is always a rival. So it was a big game for us. I know it was a big game for Sam.
And 3 pitches, and Snyder goes down looking.
Because it was Mannheim Central. They were getting a lot of press early on in the season because they were the up-and-coming team. And I think she wanted to prove something that game.
And there she is again in a situation where she needs to throw a strike. And she does.
And she struck out the side for the second time in this ball game.
When she got in the circle, she was just in a zone. And again, not overpowering, had good velocity on her pitches, but again, I just think that the way she could just hit her spots in all different parts of the strike zone and keep batters just guessing the whole time.
It just freezes you. I mean, you know, you're geared up for that high velocity, and it just literally buckles your knees when that comes in.
Her changeup was devastating that day. She had so many kids off balance.
We were doing everything we could, you know, with the bunting and, you know, slapping, tried to do anything to get her out of her groove, but she was just on. And when you're good, you're good. And when you're really on, it can be one of those nights. And she had it that night. And that was an awesome accomplishment for her.
And she sings through it.
In no-hitters and perfect games, you don't think about it at the time, but afterwards you're like, wow, there are 2 or 3 plays that really could have turned the table of the game. And with this game, it's really, really interesting because it happened with the first batter. There's a lot going on. So on the mound is our #1 softball player of the last 20 years, Sam Durr. At the plate is our #2 softball player of the last 20 years, Alexa Campbell. So they're pitching, hitting. Shortstop is Maddie Durr, Sam's sister. And the very first at-bat of the game, Alexa hits a ground ball, not a real hard hit ground ball, to shortstop. Maddie Durr comes up, makes a great play, quick release, strong throw, and it is a bang-bang play at first.
Fires to first, bang-bang play, good speed by Campbell. But there's 1 up and 1 down here in the top of the first.
Could have gone either way, and I don't think either coaching staff would have objected. It was that close. She's out. We go on to a perfect game. If she's safe, we're certainly not talking about this on our list right now.
This game, and it sounds weird because it did turn out to be a perfect game, but it sounds weird, but it was kind of like another game for Sam that year. She was just impressive that year.
Swing and a miss, struck her out, and Sam Durr strikes out number 14, but more importantly, a perfect game here at Ambuck Field.
And looking back on her season, she struck out 258 batters and walked 10.
You know, she was just a dominant pitcher. And, you know, she had 14 strikeouts in that game. You know, she had, there were so many big games during her career that, you know, it probably wasn't a big surprise to see her do that. But, you know, the fact that she did do it against a Mannheim Central team that ended up going to the state championship game the next year was just phenomenal.
There you see Sam Durr, and I tell you what, all my years I've been doing sports here on Cable 11, never did I see, witness, or call a perfect game. Did one today. Great job by Sam Durr.
She just loves softball, and I think that's a big aspect of a lot of this for Sam. I think every coach would come across players that have been very talented, and sometimes it's hard to understand that sometimes you can be really good at a sport, but not really love it. She was great at it, and she loved it.
We've got plenty more moments to come on our countdown. Up next, we crack the top 5 on our way to the #1 sports moment on Blue Ridge 11 of the last 20 years. Stick around. Welcome back to 11 of the last 20. This next moment on our countdown features a dominant team in boys lacrosse that not only put its stamp on District 3 history, but set a high standard for the program's future. Number 5, 2012, Ephrata Boys Lacrosse District 3 Championship.
The Ephrata Boys Lacrosse team gets their wish tonight, a chance to win their first ever LL League title.
That Ephrata lacrosse team was the culmination of years of those seniors, that senior group, coming up and just preparing for that year, for that season. That team was incredible by any stretch of measurement for LL lacrosse.
Hempfield and Township were the two superpowers in the league at that point. A couple teams were trying to break through, and that particular Ephrata squad just had everything, and they were talented all across the board. And when they finally beat Township during the season, I think that kind of gave them the confidence that, hey, we can continue this through the playoffs, and I think that's what really was the key.
Those guys really, really felt that it was this season or bust. We're going to show everybody that Ephrata lacrosse is here, and man, did they.
Live from Hershey Park Stadium in Hershey, Pennsylvania, it's time for the District 3 Boys Lacrosse Championship game between the Ephrata Mounts and the Carlisle Thundering Herd.
The District 3 final, first ever appearance in a District 3 final for an Ephrata lacrosse team, and they dominated. Carlisle, a team who had beaten Manheim Township earlier in the District 3 tournament, certainly a good team. They had played Ephrata earlier. Ephrata had beat them, but it was a close game.
Got a great crowd on hand here, Steve.
The crowd seems a little wound up, and they're ready to go.
But what the Mountaineers did coming out, scoring early.
The rebound is still loose. Another shot, they score! And on the rebound, it's put home by Joe Sellers. And Ephrata starts off first with the opening goal.
Scoring often in the first half.
Near side bouncer shot, they score! And a beautiful shot by Mason Quickle.
6-0 in the first half.
On the high slot, shot, they score again. A nice shot by Mason Quickle. And Ephrata with a 6-0 lead.
And that team worked well together so much and trusted each other. And in lacrosse, that's what you got to do. When you pass that ball, you got to trust the guy on the other end. And those Ephrata boys just fired it home. Took home the title.
From the sweetest place on earth, how sweet it is. The Ephrata Mounts are District 3 champions.
Coach Platt's got the Gatorade bath.
6-2 is the final score in this championship game, and the Ephrata Mounts have done it. Lancaster Lebanon League champions and District 3 champions.
After just an incredible season, they won the LL title as well, beating Manheim Township and Hempfield, something that no other lacrosse team had done to that point, winning an LL title. So Ephrata was just an incredible team. Those guys will remember that for the rest of their lives.
Number 4, 2016 through 2019. Manheim Central Girls Soccer, 3 district championships in 4 years.
Manheim Central Girls Soccer has become this dynasty.
That team in 2016, that had a mixture of every class. It had the senior class, it had, the whole way down to the freshmen. Mentally, it took a while to get them to where we wanted them to be, but by the time we were in the second half of our season, you could just see they were flourishing.
Yes, it's a score! And a stunning pass and first-time shot puts Manheim back in front by a score of 2-1.
Their confidence levels were so high. By the time we entered into districts, we had a group of young ladies that we could put out there, and we could actually probably walk away from the field. And they became such great leadership on the field that they could do it on their own.
Manheim Central girls soccer team winning the District 3 title, the first ever for a soccer program, boys or girls, at the school.
The players who were after them that we left behind, I knew we were leaving behind an amazing group of players. Not only were they great leaders and great young ladies, right? They could play the game, and they knew how to play the game. So we figured that, hey, this is going to be a group that is really going to carry forward the program at Manheim Central.
So after that first title, lost a couple of those players, but you could still see that the program was in great shape.
Looks like Levy. It's a 3-on-2. Nice pass there. A chance here for Levy right in front of goal. And she slots it home.
2018 was a 20-win season that matched the program best record at that point. Got that second district title that year. That kind of proved that it was an ongoing solid program and not just that single year. Then that third year, the team was really on that mission to prove that it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't single year, but that it is a program that is on that rise, wanting to set themselves out in that District 3A. That is going to be our place that we can make our mark.
Ooh, cuts it into the middle. And what a beautiful shot from Hannah Adair. Great offense from Manheim Central.
Now, the neat thing about Manheim Central is it is in this little cocoon, and that it is a community that really supports their athletics, and really supports their athletics if they do well.
And a block by Reed.
Unbelievable.
She anticipated where it went up to her left, very strong.
It's really hard to consider yourself a dynasty after 3 district titles. Our girls are around excellence and greatness at everything they do. They're in school with a football program that just wins, and that's what they do constantly. They produce great players, so they see what that is, and they want to match that, and they want to be at that same level.
It's another team in Manheim starting to develop a championship culture of their own, the Manheim Central girls soccer team.
Now that we're at that level and winning titles, they don't want to stop. It's like a competition between the classes. The senior class that just graduated, those that played 40 years, they won 71 games in their high school career. That's a huge number. And I know that the juniors now, they've won 2 district titles, and they're like, I want to win that 3rd. I want to win the 4th. I don't want to stop. Our motto at the program now is to honor those before you and inspire those after you.
That 2016 victory really got the ball rolling as far as future success. I said earlier, creating this dynasty of, man, we're Manheim Central, and you've got to come through this bracket, and you're probably going to face us at the end. We're the team to beat. And for the last few years, it has been that.
Number 3, 2019 Calico Football District 3 Championship.
If you recall, if you go back to last August, they were breaking in a lot of new guys, especially defensively.
I didn't really know what to expect. I knew our top guys could carry us, but I knew we were going to play a lot of young kids, and with the one preseason game, you really don't have a lot of time to figure things out.
Because I remember talking to Coach Gingrich back in August out on the field. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, we got some holes. We got some holes to fill here. This isn't going to be easy. So I remember them winning some games early on, and they beat Mifflin early on, another good team. But they were finding ways. And even though they got to the Central game and the showdown game and didn't win, you could still see that, okay, they're better than what we thought they were going to be. We knew Central was going to be pretty good. We knew Warwick was going to be pretty good. And when you started looking at that 5A bracket, it was like, oh, wow, collision course, look out. But I thought Calico came a long way. From week 1 to week 10, they improved a ton.
I'm so proud of you. All right, let's go. Eagles on 3. Eagles on 3. 1, 2,
Eagles! Going into our last game, I think we were sitting 2 in the district seeds, and we had, a couple injuries from the game before the Solanco game. We didn't know what was going to happen there, but we're playing Lampeter Stroudsburg, who ended up being the 4A champion. Do you play these kids or do you rest them? And well, if you play them, then they get a rest if we can win the game, get the bye or whatever. We ended up playing a great game against Lampeter.
Noah Palm with a 6-yard touchdown run.
Go into districts, we have the bye. It really helped us to have the bye again. And then it comes down to, we beat Mifflin in a rematch, which I thought we played a great game that night. We really did a great job defensively. Offensively, we did some good things as well. So then it comes down to the Final Four, and we have Warwick.
Miller will take it in.
We had scrimmaged Warwick earlier in the year. We knew what kind of battle that was going to be, and beginning of that game, they just took it to us. They had us on our heels. We defensively, we're doing okay.
It's tipped and picked off.
But offensively, we couldn't move the ball at all. And right before half, I think we scored with 5 seconds to go in the game. So we got a turnover. We made the score, and then the second half, we played pretty good football.
And the game is over. The Calico Eagles are on their way back to the District 3 Finals.
Then you go into the district championship.
From Eagle Stadium in Denver, it's the PIAA District 3 M&T Bank Football Championship.
You play Cedar Cliff, a team that you'd played week 2. I think our kids realized that even though we beat them week 2, the game was a lot closer than what the score was, but the night of the district championship, it really wasn't that close.
Flitting down the far sideline, being chased. It is a pursuit, and it's a touchdown, Calico. Well, that did not take long for the Eagles to strike.
We played great, and that was a complete football game for us that night.
But that's going to be it. Denver, you can celebrate. Your Calico Eagles are the District 3 5A champions.
Awesome.
They defeat the Cedar Cliff Colts 45-7.
So it was the third district championship our football program has ever had. We won one in '85 before I was there. We won one in '94. But between then, we lost in the final in '92. We lost in the final in '95. We lost in the final in '97. We lost in the final in 2010. We lost in the final in 2014. We got whooped in the final in 2018. So we needed to get over that hump of just being there and being content of being a district finalist. And I think it meant a lot for our kids. I think it meant a lot for our school and for our community. They did a little parade afterwards, and it was something that I'll never forget, and I'm sure the boys won't forget that as well.
That can't feel good on a cold night like this.
To finally see Coach Gingrich win a district championship, he's one that deserved it. He did things the right way, always had his team prepared, and it was just it was great to see him finally be able to ride off into the sunset with a championship.
That's a great memory for these young guys. They'll remember for the rest of their lives.
We've cracked the top 3 moments on our countdown, but coming up after the break, find out who's walking away as our #1 sports moment on Blue Ridge 11 over the past 2 decades. We're back on 11 on the last 20, and before we dive into the top 2 sports moments on our countdown, let's take a look at some of the best singular moments seen on Blue Ridge 11.
And had a cool moment prior to the match tonight, Jan.
Right there he is, but no one knew, including the family, no one knew he was coming home.
They got to shoot. Jarola Hill's going to take it. She takes a 2-point shot up and good! And they call the timeout, and that was points number 1,000. Wow, unbelievable. 1,000 points by Jarola Hill.
Hits that one to center pretty well. Going back is Garner. Oh my! Tommy Garner goes face first into the fence.
I cannot believe he is standing. Oh my goodness.
Is this Garden Spot team better than last year's? This is a team last year that went to the first round of the state playoffs before bowing out. Of course, led by Curtis Waltman, only a junior, and he's already surpassed 1,000 points for his career. Zerman poked away. McFeeters puts it up. Got it! Lindsey McFeeters with a buzzer beater to win it.
Oh my goodness, that's the game. Warwick, your new league champs.
Stafiri up the floor. Brent Eyes. Go! He got it! Brent Eyes! Ball game! The Conestoga Valley Buckskins come into Mannheim and defeat the Barons by a score of 12-7 to win the Section 2 title in a stunning upset. A lot of options to choose from if you're Calico. None of them slips through and got it! Wow, what a game.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, struck her out. The Warwick Warriors are going to the district finals.
6 seconds left. Groove. Oh, he got it to win it! Unbelievable!
The Warwick Warriors are District 3 champions in Quad A.
And the Conestoga Valley Buckskins are the Lancaster Lebanon League champions for the second time in their career.
The first Lancaster team to ever do it, the Warwick Warriors win 1-0 here over Westchester Henderson.
McCracken. He's got time. McCracken to the hoop. Gets the bucket, and that's the ball game.
With a win here, he will set the all-time win record, which he just did with his patented armbar.
So Will Betancourt, 132 wins.
It's quite a feat, folks.
Incredible.
And here's some more comical moments involving our hardworking Blue Ridge 11 production crew.
For Durr, he'll go play action, fire over the middle. He has a man, and it is incomplete. There was some clutching and grabbing as Karpinski went down.
This whole first series has been scripted. In other words, they had them all written down, and they ran every play down a script.
This is Class, who finds the pylon. He is in for the touchdown. Westchester has dropped 51 on Millersville. County ran right into our camera guy.
At the time of the move. 2-2. Ground ball deflected off the mitt of Lara. And
the completion. Down the sidelines. Another first down. And the stiff arm getting him out of bounds. David, he's been big.
Oh,
He's going to photobomb us.
This is disgusting. Oh, that's what they're blowing the
Tim,
whistle for.
go get him.
Who let that? Hey, that ain't no eagle. That's a chicken. Get him off the field.
Tim, there you go.
Let's get cameras on the water, boys. You got to grab him now, kids. Got it. Yeah, wait. Pick him up. Easy to say from up here, huh?
Sure.
Number 2, 1999 and 2000. Warwick Field Hockey, back-to-back state championships.
Warwick coming into this game, the second place finisher out of District 3, 25-1-1. Their only loss coming in the district final this year.
Late 99, early 2000s, Warwick was the epitome of field hockey, in my opinion. I mean, Coach Durr produced some outstanding athletes and some really great teams. And coming away with back-to-back state titles.
Look for a little lift or a little pushback here. There's the lift, yes.
Got it
and it's a beautiful job.
I mean, that just speaks for itself.
Warwick, 1999 PIAA 3A state champions of field hockey.
Those two teams, the 99 and 2000, they were very good. Of course, the 2000 team was the only team I coached that went undefeated.
Welcome to Anderson Field on the campus of Messiah College. It's the girls 3A PIAA state championship this afternoon to be decided between the Warwick Warriors, 27-0-0, the number 1 team in the country, the defending state champion, and the number 1 team out of District 3, coached by Bob Durr.
They were just amazing.
I think we saw a very, very superb team last year, and this year's team is just trying to step up, and their thing that they have this year, their one word is believe, and believe that they can do it and believe that they could return, and I think they've proved that.
Any back-to-back type situation that you can win is very, very difficult.
There goes Wood.
Nicely done by Wood. Just going to dump the ball across and in.
What a brilliant shot that time by Kelly Wood.
You don't, let me see it. See that happen because you have one good year, and usually it's a bunch of kids that you had that took, that graduated, But we were fortunate that year from 99 2000. There was a lot of same players returning, which was very helpful.
Warwick, the 2000 3A state field hockey champions. It was Kelly Wood nailing it at 13:36 of the first half, and Warwick, the champions for the second straight year, an undefeated season, their 32nd win in a row, ranked number 1 in the country. And
the college athletes that came out of that program, the amount of kids that fell in love with the sport because of that timeline in the Warwick program, and not just in the Warwick School District, but just watching them as a Lancaster County school and playing in different areas of the county, I think was just a great time for field hockey in this area.
When you talk about great field hockey, you start to talk about Warwick, which has had a storied program under Bob Durr.
No one puts more time in than Bob Durr. I mean, I had the opportunity to coach with him, learn from him, and played for him. So, no one puts any more time in than Coach. He puts everything he has, his heart and soul, into the Warwick field hockey program.
Each team is special in their own single way. I love every team I coach.
Number 1, 2003 Manheim Central Football State Championship.
What a classic.
Lots of snow.
Well, from that night, I think I'm still thawing out. I think I'm still cold.
The game itself was like being in the Twilight Zone. I mean, that made it surreal, but also that much cooler.
Well, it was an interesting day. We didn't even have school that day because of this heavy snowfall. So I remember being in our gym talking with our administrators about what we were going to do. We didn't have school, so technically speaking, if we wouldn't have school, normally we wouldn't play, but this was a little different because it was state finals.
Good evening to you, everyone. It's a snowy one here in Chocolatetown, USA. Out of the east, the Barons of Manheim Central, and out of the west, Pine Richland. Both are undefeated at 14-0.
It's voted number 1 all time
best state championship football game in Pennsylvania history for a reason.
Gentlemen, shake hands again. Let's have a great football game. Good luck.
The elements.
They have been doing a fabulous job. Right now the field is in good playing condition. We got a lot of snow.
The overtime, the amount of plays that were made by these kids in these terrible elements was just absolutely incredible. So the week before the championship game, state semifinals, who do they face? Again, Strathaven at Coatesville on an incredibly windy day. I remember I was producing the game.
Ryan Plowman, the left-footed kicker, pumps it through, and the Barons have a 3-0 lead.
And it's something I had never been part of as a coach, an athlete, a producer, director. Never saw anything like it. The win was so crazy. 3-0 they win.
Manheim Central, they were 0-8 in this Eastern Final. They will finally get to Hershey.
So they go from beating Strathaven 3-0 in hurricane force winds to the next week beating Pine Richland in an unbelievable game, high scoring game in 6 inches of snow.
A couple of things that definitely stood out. Jared Moyer.
They got a great one in Jared Moyer, 6'4", and Gary, a quarterback, much like a point guard in basketball, an extension of the coach on the field. This guy is for Mike Williams out there.
Who made our quarterback list. Huge touchdown pass, 4th and 10.
Right now, 4th and goal at the 10-yard line. Moyer looking. He's got a man open in the corner of the end zone. Didn't see him and throws for the touchdown anyway.
Time running out, 5 minutes left in the game. I think Mike Williams came on here and said might be the biggest play in Manheim Central football history. Might have been, I remember that. Scrambling around, he hit Ryan Huber coming across the middle, and the kid from Pine Richland almost broke it up. Really close. If Central doesn't score there, Pine Richland probably wins.
Wow. How about that play for clutch football?
And the other play, obviously, at the end, Sean Wilt.
And here we go with the sure-handed Billy White. He has saved a couple to go to triple overtime. Snap down, the kick is blocked.
Making the blocked extra point at the end in the second overtime. Wilt was such a great story, and I remember I wrote about him the next day. In the follow-up from that night, broke his leg earlier in the season, had missed all of the playoffs. Coming up, got back for the state finals. Wow, good timing. Ends up blocking the kick at the end, and I can still hear that. I can still hear the stadium and the hush, and here's the extra point, and I can still see Sean Wilt swooping in, number 87, and blocking that extra point, and Central won.
Wilt managed to get through, gets 2 hands up, and right there, state championship, gold medal time for the Manheim Central Barons, their first ever.
I think I can still hear that ball hitting his hands. It made a sound that I think I'm kind of looking at my play sheet, half looking there, half looking at my play sheet, getting ready to rally the troops again for the next series. Bam, the ball's blocked. And in that instant, it's kind of like the greatest way I think you could win a football game, because it's over in a second. We block, game over, nothing else to worry about. It's not like you got to go out and play again, or we're going into overtime. It's over, and we don't have to worry about it. And then the reality, it took a while for you to say, oh, heck, we're state champions.
Talking to Mike Williams after the game, obviously it was a mob scene in the snow and everybody's trying to get to Williams. I got Mike Williams last. I must have been the last media guy there coming out of the stadium. Central was already on the bus and ready to go, and Mike was one of the last people out, still holding the trophy. And it was just a fun interview with him, just to say, wow, state champs, amazing game, do you even believe this? And there were tears in his eyes, and that's, it was just neat to see that, just to see a coach after all those years win a state title the way they did it. And obviously, you know, his career speaks for itself, but to see Williams like that was really neat.
Manheim, as a program and community, have been so close for so long. To see them do that was amazing, and it was, you know, just very exciting from an LL guy to see an LL state champion. That would have been, I think, our first state championship, you know, for our league. So I thought it was really cool.
For our whole community, it was just something that people had yearned for so many years, and the disappointments that we had, you know, resulted from tough losses to Berwick, to Strathaven. You know, that just was kind of like the icing on the cake for those people that put their life's blood into the program, including our coaches, our players, our fans. You know, we could brag about the season for 364 days, you know. So that meant a lot to the people in Manheim.
It was really a phenomenal football game to watch.
So there you have it, Manheim Central football's 2003 state championship, one of the best sports moments to air on Blue Ridge 11 and #1 on our list. Thanks so much for joining us on another 11 of the Last 20. I'm Chad Landers. That'll do it for our countdowns. Come back next week as we visit with all of our #1 athletes and hear their thoughts on making history.